Stimulants have been in the game since Labs was added in 0.11, but with the release of 12.4, we've seen a massive buff across all of the stims. So today we're going to be talking about what the advantages are of them, the differences between them, and the best combos and situations to use them. So we're going to be looking at the 5 stims added in the game in 12.4. So far we're looking at the blue stim, which is the first one we're looking at here, is the SJ6. Now this is the most expensive stim out of all 5 stims at the moment, coming in at an average 50, 55k and sometimes lower. This is prone to fluctuate. And the reason that it's so expensive is because this stim is actually the most OP. So we're going to see here, it's got a 2-second use time, as are all injectables in this game, but you're going to see a whopping max stamina extra 50 per second for 240 seconds. And we're also going to be looking at stamina recovery here, coming in at an extra 2.5 per second for 240 seconds. Now, after you take this, in the last 40 seconds, you're going to have some tremors, and you're also going to have a tunnel effect. And if you're not sure what these look like, I'm about to show them to you now. So the next stim we're going to be looking at is the SJ1, and you guys are probably wondering why this stim is slightly cheaper, coming in at roughly about 20k and sometimes higher and then sometimes lower. Well, let's first look at the positive sides and then let's break into the negatives. First thing we're going to be looking at is the skill endurance, coming in at positive 25 for 180 seconds. If you're not sure what endurance does, it is actually the amount of stamina recovery, so the speed in which your stamina recovers and the amount that your stamina gets drained when you're running. Obviously, the higher your endurance, the larger your pool of stamina as well. And we're looking at strength here, which you're going to be gaining an additional 25. Now, strength is amazing because strength not only increases your carry weight, but it also at the same time increases how fast you run. So when these two come together, this is actually a beautiful combination and allows you to move at really, really nice speeds. The next one we're looking at here is skill stress resistance. You're going to be gaining an additional 25 points for 180 seconds. But let's get into why the stim isn't worth so much. And that's because of its negative energy recovery. So we're going to be looking at here, for the first 100 seconds you won't be affected, but for the next 200 seconds afterwards, so for a 300 second duration here, so 100 seconds without, and then for the next 200, you're going to be actually losing 0.25 energy per second for 200 seconds. Now, this actually doesn't seem like a big deal, but it works out to be a negative 50 energy in total. So if you're not keeping an eye on your energy levels, you may run out after using one of these. We're also going to be looking at hydration recovery, and that's going to be the same thing. So for 100 seconds, you won't be affected, but after the 100 seconds after using the stim, for the next 200 seconds, you're going to be losing 0.3 per second for 200 seconds. Now this works out to a negative 60 hydration points. So you really need to be careful when you're using the stim, making sure you either have a golden star in your gamma or additional food or water. So next stim we're going to be looking at is Adrenaline, or the red stim. We're going to jump straight into the market price, being roughly about 18,000 and sometimes about 20,000 due to fluctuation. We're first going to look at why it's around this price. Let's have a quick look at the positives first here. And we're going to be looking at the fact that it removes pain for 60 seconds, which means this is a 60-second painkiller. At the same time, you're going to be removing contusion for 60 seconds, which is the concussion effect, which is pretty awesome if you get headshot or shot in the visor, etc, etc. We're going to be having a look here. You're going to be gaining 20 levels in endurance for 60 seconds, and you're also going to be gaining 20 levels of strength for 60 seconds at the same time. So running for longer and running faster at the same time, essentially. And we're also going to be looking at 15 levels of recoil control in 60 seconds. Now, what this means for you is for 60 seconds, your gun is going to essentially have about 14% less recoil. Now, obviously, this is prone to fluctuation, but at the current day and age, I think it's a 41 negative % of recoil of your total gun when you hit elite on recoil control, which is level 51. At the same time, we're going to have a quick look here at health regeneration. Now, you're going to be gaining, a measly 60 HP over the duration of 15 seconds, which is kind of nice, but doesn't really affect too much. But let's have a quick look at the negatives here. You're actually going to be losing negative 24 energy at a 0.8 over a 30-second period. So every second, you're going to be losing 0.8 energy, which is negative 24 in total. And we're going to have a quick look here at hydration recovery. So you're going to lose about 30 hydration over 30 seconds. So that's, something that you really need to keep your eyes peeled for, especially if you're low already. And the next one looking at is you're going to be losing skill stress resistance for 60 seconds. This next one we're about to get into, Propitol, is actually probably one of my most used stims. And we're going to have a look at the market price, and believe it or not, it's actually one of the cheapest, coming in at around 12,000 on average, sometimes 13 and higher. We're going to have a quick look at the Propitol, and we're going to see why it's so amazing. The first thing you're going to have a quick look is that it removes pain for 240 seconds. This is actually really incredible because it is a painkiller, and it also removes contusion for 240 seconds. It removes toxication for 240 seconds, which isn't in the game yet, but will be diving into when they eventually add that. You're also going to be gaining skill metabolism, 20 points, so 20 levels for 300 seconds. Now, if you're not sure what metabolism is the skill in which decides how much energy and hydration you lose per second. So essentially, Propitol stops the dehydrating and energy loss process, which means if you use this in conjunction with other stims, you can actually make it slightly better and reduce some of the crashes, you could call them, in your energy and hydration of other stims. At the same time, we're going to be looking at skill health gain 20 levels for 300 seconds, vitality 20 levels for 300 seconds. Now, these two are to do with new bleedings and also instant death from fractures or black limbs, etc, etc. And we're also going to be looking at health regeneration, 1 per second for 300 seconds, obviously coming in at a whopping 300 extra health after using one of these. But unfortunately, after 270 seconds of the stim being used, which is fine anyway, just after the painkiller and all the goody parts of this thing have basically worn off, you're going to be gaining a hand tremor for 30 seconds. This next stim, the ETG or Regenerative Stimulant, is one of my favorite stims, and it's a solo player's best friend. Coming in about 25,000, sometimes roughly about 30,000, this green stim is absolutely awesome. It has saved my ass a lot of times, but at the same time, it comes with some negative side effects that I really need to warn you about. So first, let's jump into the positives. It's going to be removing contusion. To that moment that you stab yourself, it will remove it then, but anything after that, obviously, it won't. The next thing we're looking at is metabolism. You're going to be gaining 20 levels in metabolism for 90 seconds. 20 levels in immunity for 90 seconds. Unfortunately, immunity is not in the game currently. And the next one we're looking at is what this stim is for and the main reason you would use it, and that is health regeneration. You're going to be gaining 6.5 health per second for 60 seconds, coming in at a whopping 390 HP total regen, which is amazing. And the difference is this and Propital is this doesn't go over a 300 second period. This is in 60 seconds, which is incredibly rapid regeneration. You're going to be gaining energy recovery, which means you actually, weirdly enough, gain 30 points of energy temporarily. 60 seconds, your character will gain 30 energy points after 65 seconds into the stim. So just after this has given you the bonus 30 energy, it will then remove 60 energy from you from a 20-second period, which is actually pretty crazy. So you're going to lose 60 energy after the crash. So you're going to gain all this health, you're going to gain heaps of energy, and then you're going to crash and lose 60 points of energy. You're also going to lose 5 points of endurance for 60 seconds, and also 5 points in health for 60 seconds. But fortunately enough, the 60 seconds is such a low amount of time, it's not going to affect you for a great period of time. But when you use this stim, make sure you have backup food and water. You guys might be wondering, how do you get these stims? So we're going to jump into the med station when you're hideout, and we're looking at one of my favorite stims trades, and I do this one regularly as well. And it's 1 ibuprofen, 1 golden star balm, and also 2 med piles, and you get yourself 7 Propitol. Now you can actually do this at a 112 ibuprofen and a 110 golden star, and that's what makes this so efficient. When I get them down to 1 use, I'll then turn them into Propitol, which I'll then use in raids. And we're looking at the other trade, which you can get your hands on the SJ1. Unfortunately, I crunched the numbers and all of the parts required for this one does not equal a good profit, so you're probably better off buying the stim because you're going to lose about 40 to 50k depending on market fluctuation in value in the name of just being able to trade for them. One of the best places to get stims is on labs, and specifically black keycard. You don't need black keycard. Obviously, it's just one of the good keycards. Obviously, green, blue, and black also have some incredible spawns, and there are places around labs that spawn stims freely, but black keycard is one of the most reliable for finding stims. Now, you're going to find them on these chairs and also down on the ground. As you can see here, I just found an SJ6, and also on the ground once again an ETG or a green stim. You're going to find these laying on top of the boxes, and you can see they're like candy in here. Sometimes you're not going to find them always. There's also a small chance that you can find them in med crates, and you can also find them in the middle here as well. Another location is the blue keycard. Obviously there's way more spawns across labs, just laying in every single medical spawn. But these are really good spots for me, and these are the regular ones. You want me checking along these top tables here, along here. And if you come into this back room, you can also check on the bed and nearby. As you can see where this IFAK is, you can get stims, and also on the bed right there. As we push around the back here, we're going to be checking for more meds along these tables here. As you can see, I just found an SJ6. And obviously at the same time, you can also get LEDX along these tables here if you're really lucky. And on the bed at the back here, you can find stuff like Vaseline, Golden Star, and obviously stims. Once again, probably one of the most viable keycards within labs is the green keycard. I would say this rivals black when it comes for stim reliability. Blue is obviously really good for LEDX, but I find green and black are the two that give me the most. You're going to be checking along these top tables, and as we work our way around all of these tables, as you can see, you can find in any of these medical spots. Also in this middle table here, you've got spots that spawn any sort of the stims, and you come to the back here once again, checking around all the sides here for more stims. And as we push around, we're going to be checking for obviously things like defibs, and also there's a chance of LEDX in here, which I'll show you in a second. But you want to be making sure that you don't miss any of these stims. Very easy to walk past. And as you come back here, this is an LEDX spawn within this tin, so you can be checking for some valuable items while you're on labs. And also, if you really want stims for other maps like Shoreline and Interchange, checking all of these tables. Also these back tables, as you can see, they're really common here, and a really nice cash boost. And obviously there's a little touch here, there's a black keycard that spawns there at the same time as well. Last but not least, what are the best combos and which stims should you use for each map? The answer is quite simple. On big maps, you should always carry at least one SJ6 on you at all times. SJ6 allow you to run for ages. Maps like Shoreline and Interchange and Reserve, where you do a lot of running, these are incredible, especially when you're trying to get out in time or you have a large distance to cover. If you mix the SJ6 with the SJ1, in other words the blue with the pink, this allows you to run for much longer and also run faster at the same time, because these two work in cohesion with each other and are brilliant. Whenever I do large maps where I'm carrying a lot of gear, I always carry two of these on me at a time. As we move across to Adrenaline, the best place to use Adrenaline is in factory and labs. Adrenaline has pulled me out of a lot of situations, especially when you need to move somewhere quick and get out of there ASAP. I keep one of these in my gamma every single time I do any sort of CQB. Moving on, we have the ETG, the green stim. Now this is brilliant in factory and labs, maps where you know you're going to get into large fights and you're not always going to have the time to heal. Now the green stim can bail you out of a lot of situations, and I would especially recommend this to any solo players out there watching this video. Now the best place that I'd recommend Propitol is honestly just replacing your morphine with Propitol. It's actually around the same price as morphine anyway, with morphine coming in generally around 12 to 14k. So we're looking at 12k right now, whereas Propitol is exactly the same price. Now Propitol, not only does it give you the painkiller effect, but it also regens health. So it's essentially just a more OP morphine with a few side effects like tunnel vision. So if you can deal with that, I would always recommend running a Propitol over a morphine. Now the last one we're going to be looking at is the ultimate god combo, and I wasn't actually going to cover this, but if you mix the SJ6 with the SJ1 and also adrenaline at the same time, you can run while carrying 75 kilos worth of gear and act like your character isn't even wearing anything. Hey guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this in any single way, you learned anything about any of the stims, you know what to do. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, helps me out heaps. And as always, I stream 5 days a week on Twitch. The link for that will be featured down below. And thank you so much for watching.